Mr. Mayor, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
You specifically mentioned cutting time in traffic in your announcement this morning. The way Nashville has been growing, can you really reduce the amount of time in a car, or can you just stop it from getting worse?
I think it's sort of both in some cases, where we're going to propose to upgrade nearly 600 traffic signals. There really will be days when that rush hour experience, it accumulates over time. I mean, maybe on one day, a trip in and out from Bellevue, for instance, you save 5 minutes, but if you're saving 5 minutes every day for a year, that starts to be a lot more time you reclaim. I'm not going to ever pretend that this overall program would eliminate traffic or mean that you only catch green lights, but we also know NDOT is very serious about their traffic management center, and we know this is better than going out every 6 or 7 years and just manually retiming a bunch of traffic signals. We will help Nashvillians over this period, probably in the just taking it all together, save people years on their lives. And I think that's a big part of this, is the overall program has something for everybody.
Transit in Nashville has been sort of a chicken and egg proposition. It's not good because enough people don't ride, but until more people ride, you can't improve the system. So it seems like you're arguing that this plan might attract more people to ride the bus?
So I guess I would dispute the upfront part. We've had high ridership routes in the city for decades. When I joined the Nashville MTA board back in 2008, Gallatin had started to show signs of increase. And so what we did was we created a basically split model for a local and express. And as soon as we did that, we actually saw ridership increase. I think it's usually the case that if you add more transit service, people will ride it as long as you get the data right. And so now, not only do we have better data, I wouldn't call it chicken and egg. I would say we forgot one of the two, right? We've just had a chicken and no egg. And so it's, for this program, Murfreesboro Road right now today it eclipsed Gallatin a couple of years ago, and coming out of the pandemic, you've just seen a ridership surge there to the tune they're doing, I think, 5,000 trips a day now. And clearly more is needed, because even with the buses running sometimes more frequently than every 10 minutes, you still catch standing room only. The same thing is, the flip side of that is, that doesn't mean there's never an empty bus, including sometimes in the middle of a route, off-peak hours. So you adjust the system there, and you put your routes and the frequencies where people need them the most. But we also know we get demand all the time for people that, I hear from people out near Nippers Corner, Edmondson Pike, that anytime that the system has cut a route, anybody who relied on that, I mean, they're feeling that pain even years later in some cases. We used to have a Sylvan Park route. We used to have a route that kind of served Hundred Oaks and Berry Hill. And I still hear from people today, years later, that they'd love to see a return of that kind of neighborhood level service.
So the person who spies an accordion-sized bus with 4 people on it, that's not the whole picture?
Not even close, and the monthly ridership statistics are available every month at the WeGo board meetings.
Now, how confident are you that the state is going to allow dedicated lanes on some of these roads that they control? Are we destined for another Carl Dean fight like we had with AMP? And will the legislature approve like a center-running dedicated lane?
We don't know. We've had a great relationship for the past 6 months with TDOT. Commissioner Ely and Deputy Governor was very familiar with the 2018 plan that was proposed at that time. And I think TDOT and NDOT have been working together very effectively since the creation of NDOT a few years ago. And so this is why we're also looking at a program that has maximum flexibility. We know we're going to need better vehicles. We know we're going to have technology upgrades and individual signals, but we don't know lane configuration, the curb-to-curb design for every corridor for its entire length. What we do know is frequencies will increase, technology will improve, and the overall fleet will be more modern too.
In some of the technical meetings, the planning group is sort of tiptoeing around the term BRT, Bus Rapid Transit. Some advocates are nervous that you're backing down from the state before we've even begun.
I think the reality is we want to aspire to what is really an international standard for things that work in cities around the country. Multiple American cities have standardized BRT implementations under ITDP. We would love to aspire to that as well. But I think what we're saying is we know we can't make promises ahead of time without engaging with TDOT and potentially with the General Assembly. So we don't want to make promises up front that we couldn't possibly keep. What we'd rather do is be transparent with TDOT about where we'd like to do this. We met with TDOT and actually the governor as well. And I think they see in their Build With Us program, as they've put together a 10-year program under the Transportation Modernization Act. Right now, today, they're just expressing a hope and an intent to ensure collaboration, but there was no sense that I got in that initial meeting of, you guys absolutely can't consider doing any dedicated right-of-way here. So I think they've left the opportunity open, and we're certainly going to look, again, corridor by corridor, block by block, where we have some of these corridors contract and then kind of come back out. West End's a great example. Some parts of, if you go up Rosa Parks and out toward Clarksville Highway, there are parts as you go north where roadways kind of come in and go out again a little bit. Gallatin has different stretches where there is some local ownership of the road and some of it is a state route. So we may have some flexibility of options there. I think neither side has said up front, you can't do this or we're absolutely going to try to do this. I think we'll get into the design discussion, and we want enough flexibility to know that we're going to be able to run modern vehicles, modern signals efficiently and effectively and just move people. And I think that's something that the overall program indicates. That's something that TDOT supports.
Is there any scenario where people lose their property?
I don't think we have anything close to what was there in 2018 because we're trying our hardest to exist within public right-of-way. I mean, the only way it would happen is we do have a small funding element for land acquisition, but that would be, fair market value in the sense of any other time that Metro's acquired land. I mean, last term we acquired the 88 Hermitage property, we acquired the Global Mall. Those are just market acquisition scenarios, and we do have some funding in the program anticipating that. That would be to support park and ride development, community transit center, but also to enable things like the old original plan for what is now WeGo Central actually included some housing on top of the facility. I think it's very important that we keep those options available too, so that this helps us solve transportation and housing sometimes at the same time at the same location. There is already good data in Nashville that shows the closer you are to a transit corridor, you're literally spending less on average per household than households that are not in a quarter of a mile of transit.
Those of us who were in town in 2018 remember talk of multiple light rails and a tunnel under downtown. On the flip side, is there a danger that your plan is a little too small to sell to the electorate? It's not very flashy.
I would say any plan that puts you at hundreds of millions of dollars in sudden new operating capacity, literal billions of dollars across decades, is not too small. I think it's really, we're catching up on decades of underinvestment. And so it may not be full of shiny objects, but it is full of things that are practical that people will start to see, feel, experience, and be able to use in year one, in year two, and across 15 years, steady improvement throughout the city.
Why not light rail to the airport? So many people envision that and think it would be great.
I agree with them. The hard part is when we are asking Nashvillians to invest in their future, this does have to get the approval of a majority of Nashvillians to take any steps whatsoever. We evaluated it, and frankly, at the cost per mile that light rail takes and the amount of corridor disruption that's there, it would take a decade or more to implement. It would be as much as $300 million per mile of Murfreesboro to get you to the airport. And even that single route would have meant we wouldn't have been able to offer 2/3 of signals getting upgraded. We wouldn't have been able to offer our complete priority sidewalk network getting completed. We wouldn't be able to offer 24/7, 365 traditional bus service with as much frequency. We wouldn't have as many high capacity corridors to be able to serve. It really is a cost benefit analysis, and we came up with the program that we think is the right size for the city with the right cost that serves more Nashvillians than anything else we could have proposed.
You said no shiny objects.
Yeah.
Now the plan sets up express and regional buses. What's it going to take for other counties to buy in and participate here?
I think other counties have long partnered with us. Most cities and counties around Nashville and Davidson County are participants in the Regional Transportation Authority, are dues-paying members of the Greater Nashville Regional Council, and mayors participate in that initiative. I was just at a GNRC board meeting earlier this week. We have been transparent with them through the GNRC process about the program we're proposing. They also know that even with regional collaboration and a mayor's caucus that's still active today, 15 years later, Nashville is the 800-pound gorilla, and they do want to see us, I think, commit to movement to be able to buy in more strongly. But we aren't going to shortchange this. I mean, we are putting some investment into the RTA piece of the puzzle too. There will be some modest improvements to the STAR in terms of nights and weekend service and midday service. There will be some modest improvements to regional commuter coach service, and there will be a reintroduction of some core express routes with park and ride service so that people coming into Nashville and Davidson from surrounding counties may be able to take advantage of what we're doing as soon as they get across the county line.
How do you like your timing on this? It's a presidential year, lots of people are interested.
I think the timing is really good because we have seen what we heard during the campaign has now been corroborated by the Imagine Nashville results of more than 10,000 people weighing in on that, the Vanderbilt poll that just came out, some polling data that we think has been out there kind of independently, and I think there is just an urgent need here that Nashvillians understand, have been expressing, and I think between the Imagine Nashville and Vanderbilt poll results, you're looking at 75 to 80% of the city knowing that we need to do something urgently, and again, coming back to that, getting the details of the program right, the cost of the program right, we think this is a pretty good time to get people to come invest in this together.
And are we committed to the color purple?
That was a WeGo choice that happened when I was
it.
no longer on what was the Nashville MTA Board of Directors. I think it stands out. I think it gives some consistency. It's a very simple, easily identifiable thing. It's funny, if I had been sitting around the table at that time, it might not have been what I chose as my first choice, but to your point, it is memorable, it's simple. I think it makes it easy to know what you're experiencing there.